This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.
G'day, guys. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Summer Helene, and we are here in Big Bear, California, freezing our ass off.
Yeah, it's cold, man. I'm from the city, so everything's colder to me if it's not 70 plus degrees. But we're sitting in like, what, 45, 30s?
It's
especially at night.
It's freezing. And the
Very
best
cold.
part was,
what?
Let's see. Well, so this is my uncle and aunt's cabin. We're hiding up here.
Yeah, we are.
Bear couldn't open the gate.
No, hold on.
Because he could not use a twisty lock.
No.
Then he didn't. Now, I have to say, I usually do this, or Alexis usually does this, so Bear doesn't do a lot of the setup, but I sort of have a little bit of a broken spine, so there's not a lot that I can do. I
got to state my case here. I feel like I'm being underrepresented in this courtroom right now.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. When I showed up,
the correct form of address
your
is
ladyship.
your ladyship.
Got it. When I got here, I was given a list of instructions on what to do, and I'm going through all of it step by step. One of them had to do with a dial lock to open up a gate. And like, cool, I did one of those in high school.
He
I know
doesn't
how
know
a
what
dial
a combination
works.
lock is, apparently.
You twist it past 0 3 times, then you go
twice.
3 times. I thought twice.
Keep going.
Anyways, then you go right, then you go left, then you go right. Except I forgot which way my lefts and rights were. So I was turning the whole thing left the entire time. And I'm sitting there freezing, getting more frustrated. I'm like, at some point, I'm like, I hit all the numbers. Why aren't you working? And my fingers are cold. My body's cold. My toes are cold because I wore Crocs up here for some reason. It took you once because you knew your lefts from your rights.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what happened?
And then I was in charge of turning on the water. No problem. I can figure out, follow directions. Water and everything, or water main on the side of the house.
And aunt's sprinkler.
Water main on the side of the house. Cool. That's what it is. Supposed to be styrofoam in it so it doesn't freeze. Bunch of other nonsense. I go over there
and took apart my uncle and aunt's sprinkler.
I find a device with a lid on it
to fix my hair.
That it required a tool to open, which is what the instructions said.
That's not what it said.
Turns out I was opening up the lid to a sprinkler system that was inactive. And so I'm sitting there frustrated, like, why won't the button turn anything on? And finally, I get my manager on the phone, or one of you guys who knew how to do it. And they're like, there's no button in this process. And then it pointed.
I said that to him twice, and then I said there shouldn't be any numbers. Keep going.
They never said the water main was in the ground. Maybe it's supposed to be, and I just have a lack of understanding of that. They never said it was in the ground. So I was looking for something on the side of the house that was in the dirt.
Yeah, I gotta say,
I got it all on though. Except we forgot about the gas.
I have a thing for like manly men. I like men that make money. It's always on the ground. Thank you. I made the assumption.
What is this?
I made the assumption that he knew that. My fault.
My mom growing up would have me help her around the house and like sweep and like clean up outside in the backyard and front yard. At some point, she would just get so tired of me that she would send me back inside.
Oh, I will say I love you, but in some ways, like I got to fix my hair. You are the least like. Mm-hmm. You for such a successful man.
Yeah, I'm successful.
There are days I'm like, you are the least competent human I have ever dealt with. And it's not meant to be a slight. It's just, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to hang a picture or do like this super simple stuff? And then I realized that you just never did it.
Well, you mean hanging a picture is kind of simple though. You take a nail, you hammer it into a wall, hang picture on nail.
But I will say, when he does do stuff, he learns to do it.
Yeah.
Like he built me a table for behind the couch.
Yes, I did.
He really does. He learns to do that stuff.
And oiled or gave a new color to our dining table.
He'll re-stain stuff. But it requires like him learning. And so he just apparently doesn't want to learn, in the middle of the night in the freezing cold.
I was so pissed by that point. I even knew.
Oh, you were pissed? Did you get punched in the face until your nose bled last night?
So we woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning because I was fighting in my sleep and I punched her in the face. I'm sorry about that. Also, good morning. It worked out better than expected, honestly.
It did not.
Well, you're okay now. You're not bleeding now. And hey, at least we know your nose, it drains the proper way after your surgery.
I'm going to hit you in the groin.
I don't want you to do that. I like that part.
Yeah. Lex, would you do me a favor and grab me a cup of tea, please? Here is the thing.
Mm.
I love being up here. Sorry, I touched the mic. I love being up here because I grew up away from everyone. I didn't grow up in the city. I'm not a huge city fan. Alexis grew up in the bush, so we like to come up here. So when we need to escape, this is where we like to be. Then there's Bear.
Yeah, I grew up in the city. I'm very happy with it. I like going to wilderness. I grew up kind of in this area too, because as a kid, I'd come up here to our cabin, but we stopped going to it when I was 5, 6 years old. So I don't really have much of a memory of it. Apparently, when I was a kid, I would go around winter-proofing the house with my dad, and I loved to carry around the big wrench. I just learned this yesterday, last night actually. Yes.
The thing is, hear me out on this.
I've fallen so far from that tree.
Yeah, my concern is if there's a bear, I'm going to have to be the one to shoot it, and not this bear.
But you can't shoot this time because
I forgot my gun.
We're up here. We're unarmed. It's okay.
Oh,
I'm
now
a bear.
I'm just going to throw you at it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bear. I can handle it.
You think you can fight a bear?
Not on my life. I think
it will be your life.
I think I would be fodder while you guys got away. What? No, that's my fight manager in the background, Alexis. My manager who governs other things that have to do with me in the entertainment world wants to set up a shoot between me and a grizzly bear, and I don't think this is appropriate.
I think it's a great idea.
No, I think you can never fully train a grizzly bear.
I completely agree. So I'd love to get JesseOnFire on in here about his ideas of you fighting a bear, because I think it would be great.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, JesseOnFire.
What's up, you guys?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. I have so many thoughts. First of all, I've done your guys' show 1,000 times. I didn't even know you guys were together. I thought you guys just did a podcast. This is so illuminating.
Really? I feel like we've done something to give this away.
We've been together for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Actually, when I let go, I've had the podcast, it started as a radio show. I've had it for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And when my last host retired, I started looking for a co-host, and Bear's like, let me do it. I'll step in while you're looking for a new co-host. And this is what happened.
I went from guest to temp to I'm official now.
Look at that. Yeah. And then you're like, I dare you to fire me. See what happens.
I'll
really forget how to replace light bulbs and
it sucks. Well, it sucks because I've had the show for 12 years and he's more popular than I am.
Oh,
when we get our numbers back, he's way more popular. I'm like, what the hell?
That's because I am the face of the show.
Nope, that's not how that works.
That's because I'm the comedy of the show.
Dude.
Nope, that's not how that works.
That's because I'm in the show.
It's because you bring a big ass audience with you.
Fair enough.
I really I wish Gabrielle was still up here. We were just recording just because that story about he does which you don't know how to hang a picture. That is same story over here without it. Gabrielle is so handy. It's great because she grew up with a single mom who was gone all the time. So she just had to learn how to the circuit breaker's out. She had to fix it or no one was going to fix it. The water heater's broke. She knows how to fix everything. She's I have no patience. She has she is all over that stuff. Man. One time we were in Utah, when we lived in Utah in 2017, we lived next door to this, these guys are, I think they were Baptist or something. And all I remember is they kept wanting us to go to their church where their preacher would speak in tongues. I think they did the rattlesnakes and all that stuff just to, this is the type of kind of husband and wife this was. And one time he came over to my house to drop something, they're an older couple and they were really, really nice, but they went over and Gabrielle was fixing the washing machine at the time. And I swear to God, he brought that up probably the next 20 times that I saw him. He's like, that is an amazing woman. He could not even wrap his brain around that there was a girl who knew how to fix a washing machine. It was just and you could tell their relationship, his wife very clearly was one of those people who would she knows how to fix everything, but she'll always make it seem to him like he did it, like she just,
she's like pandering to him. Yeah.
Well, like not in but like in a way that's
Not in a good
gangster,
way.
like not like in a, like, and not in like whatever. It was more like, she's much smarter than him. And knew that the best way to deal with him is to make him feel like, he's the solver of all problems. Cause she just has no ego about it. It's just it's hilarious.
Care that the job gets done. Are these still your neighbors, by the way?
No, hang on.
No.
I was about to say, they're going to hear this.
Like, I do have to say, there's something to me like, and I don't mean any offense to this, but I see it so much with the older generation where you see women do that. And I'm like, how insecure do these guys have to be that the girls have to pander that way? And I don't mean any offense. I don't mean any offense by it, but like, I look at guys like you and I look at guys like Bear that are like, yeah, okay, great. I got help. I got a partner. And then I look at these guys whose wives can do nothing, or they think their wives can do nothing. And it is absolutely absurd to me.
Well, some of them can't do anything,
Yeah.
Like some of them really can't do anything. It's like,
but that's what happens when you marry an OnlyFans model. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. In many cases, but
yes.
I don't know. I mean, like, bottom line though is it's good to know how to do things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any upside in being helpless. You know what I mean?
No, there really isn't. Especially when you don't really. I would say, especially if you're either on your own or in a situation that may not be permanent or is undecided at that point, knowing what to do for yourself is so just crucial for life.
But it's also like a kids thing. Like, if I'm away, I want to know that you know how to like braid our daughter's hair. You want to know that I can fix something if the sink's leaking.
Yeah.
It's,
or at least know how to use YouTube at that point.
Pretty much. I know you can cook. Yeah, I do most of the cooking because I'm a better cook, but
it's just a matter of like, what have people done? It's like once you're forced into having to learn things. I mean, like, that's how, like, most people who have a YouTube channel my size have staff. I literally am hiring my very first staff person now, but it's like, I do all my thumbnails, I do all the editing, I do all the upload, I do everything, literally every single thing.
Serious?
Yeah,
dude. But it was. I mean, no offense, but like, you got a big ass channel. That's a ton of work. So you're doing your own editing. You're doing all of it. Everything.
It was done out of necessity initially, but like, every single facet of what I do now, I had to like learn the hard way, and I hated every second of it, especially setting up OBS. Can we swear on? We can swear on here, right?
Yeah, you swear. Go for it.
Fuck OBS, man. I use it every day. But good God, man, setting up OBS and like figuring out how to get the audio set up was a fucking nightmare. But like, now I just know how to do it. Now, basically, I have a system where if I have talented, like someone on camera that's talented and like, can put out content consistently, I will be able to make a successful YouTube channel with them. And I always said that. And then, so that's when I started my channel with Gabrielle, Play with Matches. I told her, I'm like, I'll make it work. I'll just run the exact same formula I did as ours. And it works now. Now we just like in the last month, we blew up on that channel too. Where like our videos are doing 20.
Give it a shout out. Where can everyone find, like, YouTube, obviously? And
it's called Play with Match. Just look, Play with Matches Jesse. You'll find it. And yeah. It's a better channel, honestly. I think it's better than mine, just because it's like the dynamic I have with her is really funny. It's like, I
gotta give you guys a reality show. We've got I've got like 32 shows I have to do right now for Amazon and Hallmark and everyone. I'm drowning. We've got so many. I know.
You get a reality show, and
no. That's the thing. I have so many slots for shows.
Yeah.
But so few people that could actually hold a show, because it's not about throwing a show at someone. One of the
Gabrielle and I, we've been on 2 reality shows. One of them was a pilot for Esquire, and the other one actually aired on the CW.
Oh, cool!
I like that.
What were they?
So we're tried and true. What's that?
I said, what were they based around?
So the CW one was a show that was created by the people who did The Bachelor, and they were it was called Hitched or Ditched, and like the concept was to try to capture all the drama of the final episode of The Bachelor in a single episode. And so it's like, they come to us and they're like, hey, because we've been together for about whatever, 2 years, but weren't engaged. And like, so they show up, big production. They're like, we're going to throw you your dream wedding in 7 days. And you have to decide at the altar whether you're going to go through with it or not. And so that's how we got married. Now, in fairness, we knew, like they didn't know we knew, but we knew in advance what the show was. So like they weren't surprising us. Our episode is the best by a mile because very early on, we're like, we are all totally prepared. And so they kept on trying to set up these situations to get us to fight, you know? And so we were just like, listen, guys, okay. In the audition, when we said we don't fight, we weren't making things up. We're not going to fight. Tell us what you want us to do. Like, just tell us what you want us to do. And so they were like, no, it needs to be authentic. You want a good show, or you want to, do authentic us getting along all the time. And then so like midway through the first day, they just were like, okay, in this scene, do yada yada. And we did it. And they were like, oh shit. So they realized they're like, we can just film a movie because they can pull this off no matter what. So the whole, the episode is all fake, completely top to bottom. But
I think most
a lot of it is. One of the things, but to try and make a reality, they really do try and torture people into stuff. That happened with him on The Ultimate Fighter. That happened with Joe, and the worst, MTV did it.
You stick a bunch of dudes, bunch of fighters, testosterone,
no TV, lots of booze,
no TV, tons of booze. There's no outlets except for their training sessions. You're gonna get the whole "let me bang bro" situation.
100%.
The saddest one though is I'm trying to get Tommy Lee, really good dude. Him and his new wife, Brittany, we talked to them about a reality show, and Tommy had such a horrific experience in reality that I don't know if he'll ever go back to it. He's like, they made him look ridiculous. They treated him terribly. He was sober, and they're trying to push alcohol and stuff at him. Like it was bad. It was really, really bad.
It's anything for the shot, dude. Anything for the shot.
And so what I'm finding when I'm working with like Monique Slaughter, reality veteran, she came from Love and Hip Hop. I'm having to explain to her again and again, like, if you're uncomfortable, if there's a problem, I need you to let me know. My job's to protect you, because these people have come from a place where it was exactly that. It was everything was pushed, everything was manufactured, and they were tortured. What you're watching is people being tortured on screen.
Yeah. I remember I'm really good friends with the producer from actually he produced both our shows, because he did the Hitcher Ditch. That's how I met him. And then he and I, made good buddies. And then he actually co-created and executive produced the show on Esquire, which was a documentary about, it was going to be like a business show about me building my startup. And I don't know if you guys ever watched it. If you search JesseOnFire startup, you'll find it on my channel.
I haven't seen that one. I'm going to check it out.
When you watch that pilot and then take into account that Esquire fucking passed on that going to series, you're going to be like, no wonder this stupid fucking network doesn't exist anymore. It's insane. I've never had a person watch it and have any other reaction than, how the fuck did they not make this a show? It's like, you want to know what they picked over that? A show called The Candidate or something. Anyways, Clay Aiken running for office in an election that everybody already knew by the time it aired that he had lost. Okay, so it's like they went, and so when you watch it, Clay
there's
Aiken,
no stakes.
And then they went bankrupt right after that. Like that's
they put a reality show with no stakes.
What was his name? The Tiger King or something. It reminds me of like when he ran for office on his show, and they showed him all.
He had a better chance of winning, and it was more interesting at least. Like Clay Aiken, and honestly, like the thing was like there was like a moment in the journey where it was like, without getting into all the details of my business and everybody else, I realized, I was like, if this show gets on network television, we are going to be a $1 billion company. If it doesn't, I can't compete. We're going to lose. And so I was so fucking certain of exactly how it was going to go. If it got onto network television, I was positive. Like, I was certain that what would happen is it would not just be about the business, that people would get attached to my journey which would then become this, then the brand would be attached to my brand. And I had a better product than all of the rest of them. And like, I could see the future, and all I needed was these stupid fucks to green light the most obvious winner reality show in the history of fucking reality shows. And I just like, and so it was like, and they were telling us we were getting a green light for this. It was insane. It went on forever. They told us they were going to green light us anyway. But I mean, as we found out, they were running out of money. But like,
right.
And now subsequently, I got to test my theory, building my own fucking brand with absolutely no help from network television, just posting on the internet. And so now I could tell you with absolute certainty that I was right, like just absolutely for sure. Take like people, oh, you find me compelling sitting and talking into a fucking microphone about whatever. Why don't you put me in the most do or die situation anyone's ever been in, more passionate about the project than anyone's ever been about anything. Like every day was a fucking war. Me, okay? Like people choose to watch me talk about fucking whatever. Like This was me on a 10, like feeling like my world was either going to explode or implode at all times. It's fucking insane they didn't do the show. I still can't fucking believe they didn't do the show.
I know. I can bet.
Was it like politics? Why would they not want to go with it?
A lot of times when it has to do with brand or product, what they'll do is a combination of two things. They test market the person. We know Jesse would test well, or I wouldn't be offering him a show. No offense. It's like, we know he'd test well. That's not a question. But he's also got a tried and true brand right now and a huge following. So that's kind of a dumb statement. Obviously he tests well. The big thing would be, do they think the brand is going to work? And if the brand works, do they want to be associated with the brand? And do they think in the long run, this show is going to be more expensive? And what's going to give them the most free press? So what's going to cost them the most to market? What's going to give them the most free press? If they did the show now where Jesse's already got his following, it would have been greenlit in 2 seconds. Like, it's no offense. It's not going to be hard to get a show greenlit on you. You're easy.
The other thing too was that at this, and it's exactly what you're saying. Like that so the show, the company was like, it was like a DraftKings, except with like a fully integrated social network. And this is 10 years ago. So it's like, we were way ahead of the curve. So they had greenlit a show prior to this that was about sports agents. And they had like these 4 guys who were like kind of like mid-level sports agents with like NFL guys, NBA guys. And so you know how these executives think, right? So these agents, cool concept, the show is going to work or not work based on the talent. Okay. It's a reality show. Like you can put me and other people who are like built to do this in a show where I'm bottling fucking bottled water, and the show. I
can have you selling socks. It's going to do well.
It's going to work. These guys were sports agents, but they were like tryhards that were not interested. They were either boring or trying really hard to like make it reality show. Like, and so that show bombed. And so they're like, oh geez, I guess their market's just not there for like, fantasy sports and sports agents and shit. That's really what you pull for. Like network executives are so dumb. Like at least the ones that think like that, is that really what you think? You think you're looking for like, but how many like mob wives? Oh, group of 7 women in this niche are going to fight with each other. Oh, that's it. That works. It's like, I mean, yeah, it works, but if you cast it well or whatever, it's just like you know how it is. They're just looking for like a template that they can put people into.
Something they'll do is they'll worry about going after the same demographic. If they already blew it with the agent thing, they know they then have to market to those same people with your show. And they debate, is it going to be easier to try and get a new demographic or bring back this one that already hates us because we screwed up? And a lot of the time they'll go fish for a new one. The problem is by putting sports agents on, and I don't mean this in a bad way, no offense to all sports agents out there. I know, you've got good ones. But the point is, a lot of them are douches. And a lot of them are like, remind you of those 1980s greed is good guys. They're like that skeevy Wall Street kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And that is very unrelatable to 99% of the world. Who gives a shit what contract this dude just got? They'd be more interested in the NFL player than the agent.
Yeah, that's
it. Just depends on the guy.
That's it.
If they did it on like Ali Abdelaziz and like who else?
Give me a show on Don King and we're good.
Or like yeah, exactly. Like those would do really well. But it's guys that are not like people who are like, ooh, I need to try hard on camera. It's not going to work, dude. Like, You know,
gotta have
you could kick your
flow.
own personality up a little bit, but if you have to like consciously think about it, it's not, you know, people can see, right? People can pick up authenticity always. You know what I mean?
This exact thing is what I talk about whenever I think of two people for this concept. It's Sean Strickland and it's Ryan Reynolds. These are two guys who already act like themselves on a regular day-to-day basis. They are who they are, but you put a camera on them, and it's just a little bit more. They play it up a little more for the camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's what it is. It has to be real. You have to already enjoy what you say, believe what you do. Everything has to flow naturally for you. It's not, you're not necessarily being an actor reading off a script, or except in Ryan's case, but that's still kind of who he is. He plays roles that relate to his personality as it is.
He augments it. He sells himself. It's like Keanu Reeves.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why people respond well to them, you know, like that's why basically Sean could say whatever, you know, and like aside from just like trolls who want to see people talk shit, like even people who are like, that's a little much, they still like him because it's like he's being authentic, you know. It's like authenticity trumps every other thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it really does.
You're completely right. Well, I think the internet's proven that. The rise of social media stars, the rise of influencers, that couldn't have happened without that. Because realistically, you know, we've already done the heavily scripted show. Movie stars are dead. We're now looking at the rise of the influencer, and that requires authenticity. Yep. And there's a certain personality that gets those numbers. People like you, people like Bear, draw people in, but it's because you're willing to put yourselves out there, not in the way the Kardashians did, that's all bullshit and paint.
Well, it's worked out pretty well for them. But I actually think that it's because of their authenticity. I really do. Like, you know, they paint up their bodies and faces, but I think why they've blown up is because they just were themselves on camera as like sisters. You know what I mean? Oh, it's absolutely. Like they'll put themselves into situations where it's kicked up, but they just are the same with each other as they would normally. Like that. So people are like, oh, I like them. Like the guys are like, man, I want to fuck them, but like I kind of like them too, you know. I think you know on E Entertainment Television's website that it says like it's like music, entertainment, whatever, and then they have its own tab that says Kardashians. It's like whole industry, Kardashians. I was like, damn, you fucking.
But they are a whole industry
at this point.
The problem is, and this is what the thing with authenticity. When they first came in, when you watch the intro to the original Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it's all the girls fighting to be in front of the camera, Kim fighting to be in front. It came on the heels of the sex tape. There was a lot of authenticity. The reason the show didn't work when it shifted to Hulu is they're living in mansions. She was married to Kanye. Like everything was up to this completely unrelatable level. And I think that's what they missed. And I think they are the perfect case study in why authenticity matters. When they were real people, even though, yes, her father, you know, was OJ's attorney.
OJ's attorney. Okay.
There, you know, it was Rob Kardashian. Their stepfather's, you know, was Bruce Jenner. Now Caitlyn Jenner, like it's not a normal situation, but they sold it that way. Once they turned it up and they're married to, like, you know, she's having kids with Travis Scott. One's married to Kanye. Like,
living in these 50,000 square foot mansions.
That's it. Once it was completely unrelatable, the show's tanked.
Yeah.
Because people.
I think. Yeah, you're probably right. Because they had to force them into situations they're not used to being in anymore, and so it became like it's not even necessarily the money as much. I mean, yes, it probably is that also,
isolation.
But like it's like the isolation, and then like when they're. The only reason they're actually doing these things is for the show. And so it becomes a thing they're doing for the show as opposed to, you know, hey,
that's it.
Yeah.
And what you see in the earlier episodes, like Kim Kardashian jumped in the water, lost an earring. And at that point, losing a diamond was a huge deal. So she's crying her eyes out and her sister's standing there going, people are dying in the world, Kim. It doesn't matter. It's a fucking earring.
Yeah. And it's hilarious too, because it's like, yeah, like that kind of thing. You're like, oh, shut up, Kim. Jesus.
That's it. Like, and then you jump now and you're like, what do you care if you lost that earring?
That she looked authentic in that sex tape. Authentically bad sex tape, in my
opinion. I will say. And I'm going to say this because I know Ray won't. The deal was penned by the mum. It was put together and pushed by the mum. Yep. And they actually sued Ray to stop him. We've worked with him. He's a great dude. they actually sued Ray to get him to stop from coming out and saying this was staged.
Fake. Yeah, staged.
And
well,
then when
he's like, that's fine. Then stop trying to frame me as some scumbag that like whatever. Now, that video, I would imagine, was an incredible audition tape for a lot of ass that he got as a result of it. You know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, I want, you know, why don't you show me what that feels like, daddy? But but Kim, like,
this is why our show is not for kids. This exact moment is why we can't, is why I have to have 18+ written on our fucking advertisements.
For sure, dude. But yeah, Kim, like, she does well when she's, you know, when she's two-handing it, but like when they're actually banging, I'm like, oh man, this is like,
she's more worried about the camera from what I heard.
Exactly. Not authentic. It's not authentic. It's like, oh, you know, like, let's make out right now, but she's just thinking like, ooh, like let's make this hot. It's like, ugh.
I will say Ray actually built Kim. She was Paris Hilton's closet organizer, and what he used to do to get attention from these other celebrities was loan her his Bentleys and stuff like that. So she was walking in as the assistant with a more expensive car and a more custom car than the people she was dealing with, which made her interesting to them. He's the one that originally started talking about selling her as her own reality star. Then her family opened a boutique, robbed his mother and robbed his sister, ran their credit cards illegally. This is a matter of public record. Joe can look it up. Stole this money from Sonia and Brandy and Ray.
How much are we talking?
A lot. Look it up. They paid it back. They went to court. It went to court. It's a whole thing, but the Kardashians have buried it. And they took all this money. They stole from them. Like, Ray actually built Kim, gave them the blueprint for how to do this, and then they robbed his family. That is the people we're talking about.
Who actually ran the credit cards?
Them. Through the boutique. They stole the credit card.
Who was it? Like Courtney and
Courtney and Kim.
And Kim?
And Kim.
The person they were trying to help.
Yep.
Kim ran the credit cards of her boyfriend's family.
Yep. Brandy, Sonia, and Ray. Look it up. It's actually, they went to court, they got the money back, but it was a whole thing.
Jesus.
So
that's fucking insane. See, I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad.
I know. Well, Ray, Ray's not allowed to say any of this. From what I hear, allegedly, they gave him a ton of money after they did that whole thing on the last Kardashians where they're like, there was more tapes, blah, blah, blah. Ray's like, what are you talking about? You know what tapes there were? We did this. We scripted this.
We did the one tape.
You're full of shit. And so they paid him a ton of money to shut up, essentially. I've heard. Not from Ray, because he would never say that to me.
You know what they got Kim's net worth listed at right now?
What's that?
Probably $4 billion, right?
1.7.
Oh, 1.7
billion.
Well, Skims is brilliant. Skims is brilliant. But yeah, if you get a chance, I always encourage everyone to do this. When you look at people that are predatory, I always use the Kardashians. By the way, not Jenner, but I am saying the mom Jenner, not the other mom Jenner. You know what I mean? But the Kardashians, look at what the girls did to get where they are. It's genius.
Dude,
and Kylie was paid the most out of anyone ever when she turned 18 for her first night as a yacht girl. Also public record, look that up.
First night as a yacht girl.
So a yacht girl, you could ask Meghan Markle.
Oh, I know what yacht girls are.
But her first night when she turned 18, she has the highest payout of any yacht girl in history.
Do you think that meant she was getting pounded out that night, or just like she's just there? I mean, given that the mom facilitated the sex tape, you know, it's like, listen, you know, you're gonna make 10 million, and you'd have sex with them anyway, right? Right?
Like, it's look it up. But there's a reason I look at those two younger ones, not the older girls, but the two younger ones, and I'm like, you poor things, you are so broken.
I just want to say that
the two younger ones, my heart breaks for them.
Your impression of their mother is exactly how I imagine she would approach that conversation with them.
You know, she's like, let's be real. I mean, come on. I mean, listen, I was with your father, and then I left him for Bruce Jenner. Let's just be honest. We're star fuckers. That's what we are. You know, that's what we do. Courtney, I know you don't like black dudes, but you have a good track record of finding guys that have lots of money, and, you know, just keep doing that, right? You don't need, everybody doesn't need to be perfect. Dude, listen, here's the other thing. The video that Gabrielle and I were just doing right before I jumped on here is Justin Bieber. So I read this article that Justin Bieber, it's like Justin Bieber in financial trouble. I click on it and it's like he got, listen to this. It's like, this is how it's worded. It's all Justin Bieber hit with a staggering tax lien on his property of $340,000. I'm all $340,000. It's like, dude, you want to borrow that, Bieber? What the fuck are you talking? How is that a staggering amount of money for Justin Bieber? Then you read deeper into the article, and it's like he's considering suing his management because they squandered his quote $300 million fortune. I'm like,
Bieber has not
300 million.
Everyone gives him a time. Bieber's mum sold him to Usher and Diddy. Bieber has had this boy from 13 he was given to Diddy.
This is exactly what Gabby and I were talking about. We're like, this kid has had a rough go, dude.
And now he's got his managers ripping him off. His mum's a freaking monster.
Well, he might have spent that money, but
I'm sure. But what look at this poor guy. I mean, I'm sorry, but everyone started on the Hailey Bieber, blah, blah, blah. They like Selena thing. I actually get why he leaned into religion. I get why he's like looking for someone who wants to take care of him.
Listen,
no one ever did.
If you if you put me in a room with Diddy at the age of 13 and you left, I would spend $300 million for the rest of my life trying to get rid of that trauma. Like, I don't care at that point.
I thought it was a stretch at first where it was like, oh, look at Bieber with Diddy, because they did that thing. He's all 48 hours with Diddy. I was like, dude, they're just doing a thing for MTV. And then I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the New York Post. They have seen all of these freak off tapes. Like the New York Post specifically has seen a bunch of them. And they verified that there is definitely 100% a video of Diddy having sex with a young male A-lister. That's verbatim. They reached out to young male A-lister for comment. The A-lister confirmed that it's real, but was like, they won't say who it is, but they're saying like,
but if they're not saying it means he was a minor at the time.
That's exactly what they said. They're like, because we're not sure if he was a minor or not, but the A-lister is responding, verifying it's real and saying like, we're just like his representation is like, we're just praying that this doesn't come out. He was victimized then. We don't want to relive any of it. And
we know everyone knows it's Bieber.
Exactly. A-lister.
Yeah.
Like you don't call you only call really big stars A-list. You know what I mean? So who could it be? And Bieber's hang on.
That being said, he actually had Usher when Usher was 15 was sent to Diddy.
Yeah, I know.
Like this guy is.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be Usher. I think it's it's
probably
Bieber's. Usher's pretty like together, like he's like seems like he's kind of got his shit together a little bit. Like Bieber looks like a kid who got fucked by Diddy when he was young and it just broke his, you know what I mean? Like that's like a broken kid. And I mean that seriously. And like, but like, so Stephen Baldwin, who's his wife's dad, said like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago was like, I'm just really glad that Hailey is there for Justin during this really trying time with Diddy. And this is before any of this shit came out. I was like, what is so trying? Like, because up until then, to me, it just sounded like clickbait innuendo that there was like actually something with Bieber and Diddy. And now more and more, I'm like, I think Diddy. I think that's
sure. The one I want to see everyone go over after is Ashton Kutcher. I want to know where those bodies are buried. Dude. Because he was hanging around with Masterson. He's hanging around with Diddy.
He's at Diddy's parties.
He's
about the murder, right? About
the girlfriend was murdered. Like
no, I didn't know it was a fucking girlfriend murder.
But there's this whole thing with him. I'm like, he's consistently around this stuff. Something's wrong,
bro. He's at that girl. He's at this girl's house. His girl. This is his story. Went to the door, saw what he thought was spilled red wine all over the ground. And so he just left. And it turned out it's his girl, like brutally murdered. And it was like, this is a fact. There's nothing even moderately argue. Like this is just as much as you could look up any story that's ever happened. This happened. Yeah. And that was his story about it. And it's like this is all I'm saying. How many times have you hung out with someone that you found out subsequently was a sexual predator? Because in my case, There's one. And he was a friend of mine when we were like 11 years old, maybe 12. And my mom, when I was 12, my mom's like, I don't like that kid. I think he's got, and she straight up called it from when he was like 11 or 12. She's like, I don't like that kid. I don't like how he talks about girls. I like whatever. Yeah. Fast forward to when we were 20, I think, in college, back from college. And a girl we were friends with when we so we were all 20. She had a little sister who was 16, unconscious. And they walked in on him, like, taking it from an unconscious 16-year-old. And, honestly, I have no idea what the hell that guy's even doing, but that's the only thing I've ever even been moderately connected to where someone did that. And like, think about Ashton Kutcher. It's like, okay, so you got a murder, you've got Masterson, you got Diddy, you got like, how are you around this much of this? You know what I mean?
And not tied in some way, not have done it yourself.
I worked with Weinstein. I worked with Diddy. I've worked with a lot of them. They weren't friends, and I heard these stories. Like, you don't I knew not to be alone with them. The same as you know not to be alone with Nick Cage. Sue me, Nick Cage. Ask why. You know why. But
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yep. There are people not to be around. Mm-hmm. There are people you absolutely know not to be around. These are not secrets.
Right.
You avoid them. But you can't how many times do you accidentally go near rapists and murderers?
But you don't fucking.
He's either the most unlucky human in the world.
No, you can't be unlucky.
A cabal of Satanists, and they're all like, you can't be in that world without brushing elbows with them, dude. But like, so on the other thing with Ashton Kutcher, I was like, there's something I'm forgetting. Demi Moore came out and said that one of the reasons that they ended up breaking up is because Ashton Kutcher wanted to watch her with other people. And so they started partaking in that. And then she said that ended up leading to that was part of the reason why they ended up breaking up.
And
yeah. Wow.
And she was one thing I'll say about that. She's a really chill chick. She's very true. She's not into the whole swingy thingy.
Yeah. So can't imagine why that didn't work out.
Well, you got to figure she had to be in the back of her mind. She's like, I love this dude, and I'm like 20 years older than him. So it's like probably spins herself up about like, oh man, am I going to be enough? Am I going to be enough? Security.
Remember, every husband and boyfriend she had.
That's what I'm saying.
They all cheated, but it's not the age. It's they all cheated on her. I love Bruce Willis. He cheated on her constantly. She always dated. That's it. She always dated these A-listers. They always cheated on her. And apparently she was the same way with Bruce Willis. He just wasn't asking for this stuff. Whatever he wanted. She went and got a ton of plastic surgery because she got snapped on the beach and she didn't look great. And he made a comment to her about it. So she went and got a full overhaul. This is with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Right before striptease. She was looking cool, like a fool in a pool.
It was before striptease and Charlie's Angels. And it was because she was snapped on the beach with Bruce Willis and he said he was embarrassed. Mm-hmm. Anyone that's willing to do that kind of transformation for that, what's hooking up with a chick?
100% would. Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, she looked excellent in that.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm pretty sure that Kylie Jenner dressed as Demi Moore striptease for Halloween this year. And one of her Halloween costumes. Dude, have you guys seen that movie, The Substance, that Demi Moore just did? I've heard it's amazing, and I really want to watch it, but it's not out streaming yet.
No doubt. She is
The Substance.
She is her and Bassinger are two that I think are criminally underrated. Yep. Really underrated actresses. Because
what's your favorite Kim Basinger movie?
Probably LA Confidential.
Atta girl. That was a test and you passed. That is objectively her best movie. Yeah. That movie's amazing. That's one of the best movies ever made.
But she did great in 8 Mile as well.
Oh yeah. Different time. Yeah. Very different kind of role. But yeah.
But those are two really extreme. But that's my point. Like both of those women, because of how beautiful they were, I think were really underrated as actresses.
Mm-hmm. Kim Basinger, she was together with Alec Baldwin for a long time, right?
Yeah. And then they split up way back.
It seems like it's really hard for A-list celebrities to really just have a mate, and stay with.
It's the cheating. When everyone in the world's accessible to you, like the only one I got to say that I think was a dumbass was Momoa. Like, all you had to do was not touch Amber Heard. It's not a high bar. Don't get herpes. Then your wife won't leave you.
Wait, was Momoa together with Kravitz? Right? He was together with
he was with Lisa Bonet. Lisa Bonet.
Oh, right.
And so they were together for like 20 years. Great couple, really chill. Have a couple of kids together, and then he did
Amber. Oh, man.
And that's exactly it. He did one movie with this one actress, threw his whole life away.
I understand, but everyone that's done movies with her hooked up with her. That's the problem.
Are you looking at fucking Johnny Depp? He did it after the whole Johnny Depp thing came out. It's like, how do you not see that?
He threw away Paradisa. Way better woman for Amber Heard.
Dude, this is what I've also been talking to Gabrielle about this, about like how, when you think about the fact that these tapes exist of all these freak offs, they exist, that the feds have them, that, whoever controls the feds has them. It's like there are probably so many massive A-list dude stars that are in these videos. It's like, think about when it's like a dude just goes to a strip club, like guys are thinking about sex all the time anyway. Then you throw them in an environment like that, and then you put them in this Diddy environment that is intentionally manicured to let everybody know, like, anything goes here, dude. Anything you want is yours. No one's ever going to know. The fact that Diddy, I was thinking about this too. The fact that Diddy's banging dudes has, I think, like it's a power thing. It's a power thing. And also it lets everyone know. It's like, if Diddy's boning dudes out in public and no one ever finds out about that, then I can do whatever the fuck I want here. Because if they're not finding out about that, then this is a safe place. And I think people who don't know anything about like life in general, they think, oh, well, yeah, Snoop Dogg, like, oh, if his wife left him, whatever, he's Snoop. It's like, no, dude, they will do anything to protect that relationship. Anything. It's the only thing in their life that is like, they know is real and solid. It's like the most important thing in their lives by 100 miles. Now, the wife would probably never understand that you're like, dude, what I was doing there was the same as having sex with a fleshlight. Like, if you got me a fleshlight, it's exactly the same thing. It means literally nothing. But they know that if that video gets out, they'll do anything to avoid that. Like the amount of leverage that those tapes have on people is just unfathomable.
The fact that he kept the tapes, it shows the kind of control he was going for. Because you have Hef, and I loved Hef. You have Hef, who had the same kind of stuff going on. I'm not going to say what. I wasn't there for it, but he made damn sure there was no recording equipment. No one was allowed to bring phones. No one was allowed to bring shit.
He's like, no one can record anything unless it's me.
Pretty much. But Hef didn't blackmail people with it. His whole thing was, do what you're going to do. There can be no cameras, no phones when you went to Playboy parties. It was just simply no. And no one's
do people like bang out in public in those parties though?
No, so from what I hear, they'd go to rooms or they'd go to the grotto. There are areas you'd go to. Most of the party was, think of like a really much higher class version of kind of what was going on. Yes, people hooked up. Yes, you found like, the A-listers of the day there, ironically, Ashton Kutcher. But no, people weren't having sex in the open. But some men were sleeping with men, some women were sleeping with women, some people were having group things. They just knew not to go to the grotto, or there were rooms if you were going to do that. But the rule was no phones, no cameras, no discussion if that's what you were doing. Mm-hmm. And so
it's just the whole thing reminds me so much of like,
but Diddy took the opposite way and went that way, where he was like, no, I'm going to take Hef's blueprint and use it for this. Because I know he went to a lot of Hef's parties back in the day. So did 50.
Yeah. And like the Epstein thing, that's exactly correct there. So like the Epstein thing and what Diddy was doing are identical, just in two different sectors, right? So like the Epstein stuff is to control the real, like, people who have real power, money and real influence, where there's only two ways to motivate a person to do things, right? Like, well, I guess three, but like, just take out like friendship. You've got silver or lead. Money is generally the silver, or, in the drug dealing thing, it's, you get whacked out. But that's in their world. It's like they will offer money, but if they won't take money because they have so much of it, how do you get them to do what you want them to do? Like, oh, here's a video of you with a 14-year-old girl on a dog leash. They're going to fucking do what you ask them to do. It doesn't matter if they're like, hey, how's that $9 billion treating you as a globally known pedophile? It'll destroy your life. They'll do anything to avoid it. So like that's what the Jeffrey Epstein thing is. And the reason why it was important over here on the Diddy side is because these people are not like, they're not like string pullers, but they have tremendous reach. So they start talking, they can make a real problem for people. So like if Diddy really was in like the, whatever the name of that thing is, the Black Illuminati or whatever he's talking about in that thing, that's where he fits into this puzzle. It's like he had control of people who had reach.
Diddy actually tried to start the rumor of the Black Illuminati to sound like he had a team behind him. It's a whole thing that he actually started to scare people into thinking there was more to it than just him and his team. And it's brilliant. It's fucking genius.
You know where that came from though, right? Like, you know where that rumor came from? From the guy that shot Mar-a-Lago up or whatever, the dude who was banging Cassie. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, it originally came from Diddy. Diddy used to say
I'm sure.
It. He has since the 90s. And so, but it's bullshit. It's something he made up. And but he did it because it scared people. It genuinely scared people.
I mean, it's super smart either way. If he was just making it up, then for sure. But where I got it from was there was the guy who shot up Mar-a-Lago in 2019. And then they have this interrogation tape of him. And everybody just completely wrote this off because they're like some crazy fuck that went and shot Mar-a-Lago up. And then they're interrogating him. And it's just like, and this guy, but when you go back and watch it now, he's like, so I was a sex slave for Diddy. He had me have sex with his girlfriend, Cassie, in front of him. And so like, and he's like, and he would do, there was all this stuff. Like I've seen the interrogation tape. It's all this stuff that now, you're like, holy shit. There's no way this guy just landed on that when now we know that was going on.
The best part that he did is Diddy actually, with these people he had, and this was common knowledge, he used to give them hallucinogens to the point that the mind's cracked. This is part of how he did it. So when you go to these events, you knew not to touch certain bottles of wine. You knew not to do that. Yeah. Like it's a very weird situation. We went to a lot of his events, and I was in a situation where the people I was working for at Paramount were his funders. So the people around me would never pray for him because you don't mess with your money. So what would happen is you'd walk into a room and you'd see certain bottles being cleared off. And I was like 16. So I had no idea.
Shit, prime fucking real estate for that creep.
Right. But I had no idea what any of this meant. I was the assistant to the president of Paramount. So he's not going to touch me.
Well, he's also not going to do any of that shit while they're there. Would be my guess.
And Brad and Paul were not going to leave me alone with him. They knew him.
Yeah.
So it was what it was. But he cleared that. Oh, we're at the.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm
Tell
sorry
everyone where to
guys.
find you. Sorry.
The show's over, unfortunately.
We're going to have you on again. I want to keep talking about this. Tell everyone where to find you.
JesseOnFire YouTube, or Play with Matches with Jesse and Gabby on YouTube, and go and on X and Instagram. It's Real JesseOnFire is my handle.
Make sure you're following him. He is brilliant. Jesse, thank you so much for being on the show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Summer Helene. We are on with my co-host. I'm supposed to say the Baroness of Ayrshire and Glenlyon because they insist I use my title now. And of course, this is what's his face.
I'm Bear Fiorda.
Thank you for joining us in Big Bear, California. This is not a pitch. If you get a chance, go up, go touch some grass, get off the internet. I'll see you soon. Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.